Jeroen Das from ABN AMRO. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Jeroen Das. I'm a product owner, Conversational AI at ABN AMRO for over 5 years already, so quite a while. So I've seen a lot passing by in the last couple of years, and mainly focusing on both the voice and the chat areas.
And what are you guys doing with voice and chat in the bank?
Well, what we're currently doing, we are with chat. We have a Chatbot Anna.
Yeah, I know her.
And but we also offer internal chatbots. We do some experimentation with agent support kind of stuff. Do some experimentation on voice, like with the IVR, conversational IVR, I have to say. So that's roughly the field of attention, and we do this for the bank wide.
That is an impressive track record, but you're a product owner.
Yeah.
And I'm highly interested in you fulfilling that role. How do you make the magic happen?
How do I make the magic happen? Well, I think it all starts with that everyone should have a certain level of love for Anna. Let's focus on Anna for a while. Because if you say Anna within ABN AMRO, probably everyone knows what you're talking about. So, and how do you make your organization love Anna as well? It's also to have a very open and collaborative attitude with your stakeholders in developing her. I think one of the main pitfalls you can make as a product owner is that claiming you are the product owner of a specific role, you're also the ultimate owner of the knowledge or the expert, etc., stuff like that. But if you have an open approach and you keep focusing on the customer problems, so you stay away from who does this, who does that, etc. And you stay focused on the customer problems and ask them, how are we going to solve it? A lot of windows open. Yeah.
And from the way I see it, you guys actually achieve in solving problems step by step.
Yeah.
How do you convince your stakeholders in the top that you require a certain amount of budget, not just this year, but also next year, and it probably grows?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Let me give one nuance. We know that banking and insurance in Holland is very closely monitored by the government, mm-hmm. So it's highly regulated, and we know budgets are just annoying things that we need to get done.
Yeah, definitely. So there are two separate topics, right? So if you come to the budgeting area space, I think it's also a lot about gaining trust. So as long as I was already convinced at the start, and probably you guys are as well, is that conversational AI can bring the organization a lot, but it also should bring the customers a lot. So you always have to be very transparent and open in what you try to achieve with your chatbot. So not the biggest mistake, what I think you can make as a product owner, is to talk your stakeholders to the mouth. So if you're aiming for a better customer experience or a better customer service model or something like that, you shouldn't start talking with your stakeholders about I'm going to reduce 40% of your expenditure on your chat channel next year. That kind of discussion you want to avoid. So be very open, very transparent. Make the distinction very clear between what you try to achieve in developing your product and what the possible monetary benefits are of that. Be very clear that are two separate things. And that if you're honest about it, then over the years, over the time, you also get the trust of the organization, that they will trust you if you come up with a specification why you need the people you are asking for. And I think that's half of the issue you need to tackle. And but yeah. We are quite in a field which we are quite, how do I say it, privileged, that it's actually a piece of technology which can actually automate a lot of interaction with customers in a very customer-friendly way. So it is actually so everybody wins. The customer wins. Your stakeholders who are on the budget wins because they see their budgets going down. And you as a product team win as well because it's such a fun technology to work with.
I totally agree.
I think that's great. Yeah.
And how do you manage the fun part?
Manage the fun part.
Well, you say it's fun to be in. It is fun to be in,
Yeah.
but we know if you walk down this road, then there's a lot of failures. In order to have success, you have failures, and that can be hard for a team. So how do you manage the fun? But that's the part for the team. But the other side of the flip side of the coin is how do you manage the failures to the stakeholders? It's the same coin, because for the team, failures can be fun.
Yeah.
The stakeholders are very often like, oh, you failed, we spent money.
Yeah, that's the case on one side. On the other side, I think my experience at ABN AMRO is at least that a lot of stakeholders aren't so. Of course, they want to have results for the investments they make, but if a project or if an experiment fails, then as long as you can, you've taken them along in the entire journey and in your thoughts and in also a bit co-creation is key in this. If you create it together with people from your stakeholder departments, then then they're also the owner, right? So that also helps a lot. But if you take them along well, and if you give them the confidence, if you give them the right, or if they give you the confidence, if you give them the right insights, then it's also okay if you fail eventually, because you have to make sure that they are on board in advance of the experiment. So say, hey, I have a great idea, or the team has a great idea. They want to do X, Y, Z. What do you think about it? Would you think it works? And then you have a discussion about it, yes or no. And if then there's a sort of a yes coming out of the stakeholder, then okay, let's go, let's do it. And then let's try to make the best of it. And as long as you're transparent, I think, then they can't be surprised if it fails eventually, or if they see the report and they see they don't get the result out of it. Then yeah.
How many experiments do you run a month?
A month is a bit difficult.
Or a year?
A year, I think it's a bit hard how you define it, because it can be very small elements you change to a big release, a new piece of technology you want to apply. But let's say roughly between the 8 and 12 a year.
And you guys are able to use those results immediately to pivot or to change the application?
Yeah, definitely. So we have quite an autonomous position. That's also the way the teams are set up. So how it's set up at the moment is that you have a centralized team who is really focusing on mainly focusing on what does the customer need in half a year, 3 months, whatever.
Working ahead.
Exactly, especially for the technology you need to implement for longer periods of time that's consumed. So you have to be ahead of time, anticipating on what's going to be next, or what do you see in the field. And we have decentralized teams who are really working on what does the customer need today in terms of content or proactive cases or whatever. So that's the way we are set up. And because we have that set up, it's we can operate quite autonomously, because we have everything aboard what we need to release.
And how does the board of ABN AMRO involve themselves in Anna and maybe her sisters?
Having a healthy dose of natural interest.
How do they do that?
Sometimes they don't sprint reviews. I think that's the most important, that they show themselves also to the teams that they think it's important. So yes, sometimes, of course, not every time, they're busy, but they show up once in a while. Often we get requests that if they want to share something about ABN AMRO externally or wherever, they often ask for some information about Anna. So then you also know they include the product in their story, right? So it's a good setting. It's a good setting also to feel that you also have the confidence from the organization, or your technology has the confidence from the organization to do the right stuff, and that's also relaxing for the team in a certain sense.
I can imagine. And as a product owner, how much influence do you and your teams have on the tech stack, on the choice for the tech stack?
Yeah, a lot, I would say. Yeah, we have a very bottom-up approach. So in terms of, what new innovations, what do we want to change for customers, but also in, what is the tooling needed to do the job, basically. And Of course, we will challenge them on relevancy and stuff like that, and how much time it consumes, etc. But in general, if they come up with new tools they need or large language models, we want to do something with that, we're going to look seriously how we can facilitate that. So yeah, that's quite. There's quite an open approach on that. Innovation weeks help during the year.
Will you guys do that?
Yeah.
And how do you approach that?
It's a week off from the backlog basically, or from the roadmap. And they get some time in advance to think about, okay, what if they, in an ideal world, what would they like to change? And then they come up with a set of ideas, and they pick the top 5 or top 3, depends a bit on the size of the innovation projects I want to pick up. And they get along with it for a week on about, yeah.
So basically a sprint of a week where they can do whatever they like.
Yeah, basically, yes. Yeah.
And they work individually or as a team?
Mostly in a team. So you have a set of Scrum teams you're working with. So normally they blend. Depends on the project and who's interested in what. Okay. So you get sort of, you get different teams for that specific week. And they just get it going, yeah.
And then they surpass the backlog.
No, that's part.
Nobody looks at the backlog and they just put the improvements in Anna.
Yeah, of course. Well, of course, we have obligations in the run, of course, if things go down or stuff like that. That's a different story. But compared to the change planning, let's call it like that, they have a week off in that sense, yeah.
Well, that's an amazing way of approaching innovation.
Yeah, but it always has 1 or 2 ideas or innovations which you can bring to production, so you get value out of it.
I haven't heard that one before, but it's an interesting approach. And how do the employees enjoy such a week?
Well, how I perceive them is that they like it a lot. Yeah. It depends, of course, a bit per topic, because we have about 30-35 people, so not every innovation sprint, there's always a subject in there which is of interest of everyone, right? But in general, how I perceive it is that it's taken really well, and people are getting playful, and they really like to play around, right? I mean, we all like to do it, and that's it's really beneficial, and it also triggers creativity, and also having a critical approach on the stuff you're doing now. Is that the right way to do it, or can we do things better, and that kind of stuff. And that's really helpful, and I think that's really important that people keep thinking for themselves, and also taking responsibility for their own work, feel themselves really an owner of their own work, because that's the only way you can have them in a mode where they look critically at their own work or at the product they're working on.
I think it's an amazing way of approaching innovation, and I'm glad your employees like it, because that makes the work probably more fun.
Yeah.
If you look at your advisors, how would you train Anna to, I wouldn't say replace the advisors, but sort of be a co-advisor? Do you think that would happen?
Well, the advisors write the content. So what we are doing is that most of our conversational designers, they worked for X period of time in our contact center. They get trained to write content. That's an internal the module we apply to them, because eventually Anna is there to solve problems via conversation, and who in your organization are the experts in solving problems with your customers. That are the agents in the contact center.
I agree, but there's a difference between solving problems and giving financial advice.
Oh, in that sense.
I understand it's a fine line between giving information and giving financial advice.
Yeah.
But will you be training, or is there a way to train Anna to move towards, and I know we have to be careful, but to move towards being a financial advisor for the simple products? I understand complex products won't work, but for the simple products.
We have a quite conservative take on that, because we have obligations to take financially care of our customers, right? Mm-hmm. So if they're really interested in a new product, we normally hand them over to an advisor.
And what if a consumer really wants advice from a bot?
Our experience is the consumer wants advice. So, and if it's from an agent or a bot, we don't see that a lot in the field. But I think it's also a healthy thing to take, right? So if you look to customer service, to your customer service model as a whole, I think the worst thing you can do is place your chatbot as a sort of the Great Wall of China between your advisors and your customers.
They should be colleagues.
Indeed, yeah. And so the whole design approach is taken from a perspective that we decide with the organization what do we want, let's say for what topics do we want to keep the customer in this sort of self-service domain, and for what kind of subjects do we really want to have the customer getting in touch with the bank, with an advisor or a contact center agent, or it doesn't matter, someone who can help the customer out. Because personally I think it's really important, right? So we're closing banking shops in the Netherlands by a lot. That's a general trend in the sector. I think we have 40 left or something like that, even less, I think. But with closing the offices, you also lose the conversation with your customers, because the only way to approach you is or they call you and they only call you when they have a problem, or they are on the web or on the app, but you don't have a conversation with them there. And basically, what you want with your chatbot or with your advisor, with your digital assistant, is that you want to have that spark getting on again between you and the customer, and actually having a conversation and picking up the right hints that the customer is looking for more than just, I don't know, adjust the limits of the PIN of their banking card, for example.
So what happens in ANA when you want to go from a conversation to a transaction? What does ANA do? A transaction meaning buying a product.
Well, I think what we try to determine the specific need of the customer. So really the specific need, right? So
as in product, you mean?
Yeah. So okay, customers interested in something, maybe
car insurance.
Insurance, indeed. So we try to specify down, okay, what type of insurance, etc. Drill down on that. And at the moment that's clear, then we also have enough information for the agent who is on our chat channel behind Anna, sort of say. Then we pack up the bundle of information, and the customer basically we transfer them to the agent.
So you have a warm handover from Anna to the agent.
That's really important, because it's really important to show the customer as well that they are important for you. So if they have a talk with a chatbot, hand it over to an agent. The agent says, "Hey, hello, good day. How can I help you? What you're interested in insurance? What is this about?" Right? That doesn't work. So that's really important. Yeah.
Well, Jeroen, thank you very much for this talk. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad ABN AMRO takes the customer really serious. I think more banks should do that. And thank you very much. And
thank you as well.